Okay, I'm Mike Willis. It's another edition of Team USA Tuesday. I'm joined by Greco-Roman national team member Brady Koontz. Brady is number 2 at 55 kilograms. Brady, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
So first things first, I want to get it out of the way. You were on the early registrant list for U23 Nationals coming up this weekend in Omaha, but unfortunately you won't be going. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, because of the new CDC guidelines, just found out late last week from our head RTC coach, Tavel Lognev, that if we went and wrestled there, we'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks when we got back. And just with everything else going on, I feel like it would be better to just not go to U23s and not miss 2 weeks of practice with everybody else and the coaches. And yeah, it's very, very unfortunate. I was looking forward to going there and wrestling, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, from my perspective, definitely a bummer, but I appreciate you being responsible and following your state and local guidelines and doing things by the book. Because that's in this day and age, that's how we need to do things. So, props to you for doing it the right way and making what I'm sure was a tough decision.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, I got a list of questions for you. You ready to hop into them?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. So starting off, what is your favorite movie?
I would say my favorite movie is probably Gladiator.
You got any Gladiator quotes that you can name off the top of your head?
There's the "Are you not entertained?" bit. I'd say my favorite scene is when Maximus is like first revealing himself, and then says his full name and everything, and the guy's just like shocked that he's even alive.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a classic movie. I'm a big fan as well. Next question: who is your favorite musical artist?
I'd say my favorite musical artist is probably Iron Maiden. I'm big into like rock and metal. I was raised that way, and I don't know if you can see, but I have we have a Jimmy Page poster right there, and then John Bonham right there behind me.
Very nice. I'm a big Zeppelin guy myself, so I'm digging it. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Very cool. So do you listen to music before your matches, or are you a no music type of guy?
I'll listen to music when I'm jogging, and then obviously when I'm drilling I won't. But then a little bit before my match, I will, and then when I'm about to be on the board, I'll take the music back out.
Gotcha. And do you stick in that like rock and roll, metal genre when you're doing that?
Yeah.
Very cool. Next question: what is your favorite food, and maybe what's your favorite food when you're being healthy and maintaining your weight, and then what's your favorite food when you can eat anything you want?
Well, I'm being healthy, maintaining my weight. I eat a lot of just like very lean chicken and rice, or like chicken and pasta. When I'm not cutting weight, I really like pizza. And ice cream.
What's your favorite pizza topping, and what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite pizza topping is probably sausage, or like sausage and pepperoni. A lot of times I'll go like a 3-meat pizza. Favorite ice cream flavor is actually birthday cake. I really like the birthday cake flavor ice cream.
Is there like a specific brand of birthday cake ice cream that's like your go-to? Because that one's kind of, I won't say it's out there because it's definitely around, but not a common answer, I'd say.
I don't know if I can think of a specific brand. I went to a Cold Stone Creamery last night with my girlfriend and got birthday cake ice cream with brownies and a cookie dough in it. That was really
That sounds
good.
amazing. Sounds like you're not cutting weight right now.
No.
So what is your favorite sport to watch other than wrestling?
Um, Not really sure. I used to watch football a lot more when I was a kid. I don't know why I haven't been watching that as much now, but not really sure. I really enjoy going fishing, so sometimes I'll watch like fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fly fishermen or just standard pole fishing?
Usually bass fishing.
Very nice. Um, yeah, so Wisconsin, I'm assuming you grew up a Packers fan then?
I'm actually not a Packers fan.
Oh wow, I didn't know that was allowed. I didn't know you
No.
were allowed to be from Wisconsin and not be
Neither of my parents are from Wisconsin, so
Gotcha. Who did you root for?
growing up I was a Colts fan.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, my dad's from New York, and I was raised in the Philadelphia area, so he was a Giants fan, but he never pushed that on me because he knew that wouldn't be good for growing up and being in the NFC East.
Mm-hmm.
But did you play any other sports growing up?
I ran cross country when I was in high school. Up until my senior year, I didn't go out my senior year to focus on wrestling, but I really enjoyed running cross country.
Cool. Was it a tough decision to not do it your senior year? Because I mean, I assume if you stuck with it up until that point, you liked it a lot for the most part.
Mm-hmm. But my junior year, I inflamed my IT band, so I wasn't able to run as much. And going into my senior year, knowing that I wanted to wrestle in college, I knew that it was the better decision to just focus on wrestling. And I have a lot of friends that I ran cross country with in high school, and I still talk to them a lot. And even after I didn't go out, like we were all still friends, and it was all still cool. But I definitely enjoyed going out for the time that I did.
Yeah, I bet. Who is your favorite wrestler to watch, either past or present?
Hmm. For the past, I would definitely say Dennis Hall. Him being my club coach, I've watched a lot of his matches, and I definitely try to copy his style. So I think he's my favorite past wrestler. Current, not as sure. It's a lot of I try to watch Greco wrestling more than I watch freestyle, but it's a little harder. I'm not seeing as much Greco stuff on social media that I am freestyle. But I definitely watch a lot of the foreigners in Greco.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have like a favorite, I don't know, maybe international style? Like, is there one country that you're like, I like the way they do things, or I like, their technique more so than others?
I'm not sure if there's a specific country. Like from what I've seen, the really big difference is just between Americans and then everybody else. Yeah, I'm not really sure if there's a specific country. Obviously, the Russians are really good, and especially those Norway, Sweden, Finland, where they don't even have freestyle, are really good at Greco.
Yeah. When when you were growing up, and obviously you're a Division I college folk style wrestler, but growing up, you were getting on age group level teams for Greco, and Dennis Hall being your coach, for crying out loud. Did you always know that Greco was the end game for you?
I think I did. I would always wrestle freestyle at Fargo, but I knew after my last year there, when I was going to college, that I wasn't going to compete in freestyle again. I was just going to focus on Greco when it wasn't folk style season.
Yeah. What was it like, making a national team at, a really young age? I think you did it like after your redshirt freshman year, I believe.
Yeah.
Was that something you were expecting to do?
I don't want to say that I was expecting to do it, but I definitely knew going there that I had the potential to win. And I knew that I'd worked hard for it. And when I was wrestling there, I just tried to not think about who I was wrestling or their previous achievements, just focus on the match and take it one match at a time.
Yeah. And at Final X, you had a tough competitor, Max Nowry, and he's somebody that you know pretty well and have gotten to know over the years. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with him?
Well, I think it was 2013 when he won the Pan Ams, and he came to Wisconsin and to train with my coaches. And I've got a picture with my brother and I and him when we were like maybe 12, 13 years old. Then it was really cool to just, after all these years, we end up wrestling each other in Final X.
Yeah, was there any weirdness that you had to get over to wrestle him, or was it just another opponent in your mind?
I don't think there was any weirdness. I think I've wrestled enough people that I'm friends with or that I know pretty well that I can just get over that, where it's somebody I know and I can just focus on the match, and then after the match go back to being friends.
Yeah. So speaking of wrestling people, at 2020 Senior Nationals, you and your brother, if your twin brother, run into each other. And I think initially in the pre-seeds you were seated apart, and then like somebody didn't weigh in or something. So you end up as the 6 and 3 seeds and running into each other. How and Dylan got the best of you, but how do you deal with that, and how many times has that happened in your career? And maybe how often does it happen now that you guys are kind of on the senior level?
It used to happen pretty often when we were younger and we were the smallest kids in the age group. We would wrestle each other basically every tournament. But now that he's a little bit bigger than me, and especially for folk style, he usually goes 133 and I go 125. We're not wrestling each other as much. And then for Greco, if it's not Olympic weights and I go 55, then we won't wrestle each other. But we've done it so much, we're pretty used to it. We wrestled in the blood round at Fargo one year.
Oof.
Um,
Who won?
he did 11-9 on a pretty controversial call.
Oh boy. What was Dad doing in the stands if he was there?
He was just sitting in the stands watching. He refused to coach one of us, and my mom was in the bathroom crying.
Oh man, that's tough. I can't even imagine. So this senior nationals, then this was just the next thing. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary per se.
Yeah.
But have you guys talked about if you both end up at Olympic team trials and that happens? Have you gone through scenarios, or do you just know if it happens, it happens?
Yeah, we just kind of think that if it happens, it happens, and whoever wins moves on, and the loser just tries to wrestle their way back. And as always, loser does 10 push-ups after the match.
Oh man, that's again, that's got to be a really interesting dichotomy. But how much has having a brother, you're roughly around your size, helped you develop as you've gone, grown up and basically always kind of had a training partner there for you?
It's been really helpful. Um, Always having somebody to train with, especially when earlier this year when we couldn't get on the mat, and him and I would just move the table off to the side and drill in the living room on the carpet when we couldn't get on a mat. It's been really helpful having just somebody always there that you can practice with or work out with.
Yeah, I was gonna say for Greco too, at least you're not getting like rug burns on your knees from practicing shots. Greco, there's one style you got to do inside on a carpet. I would say Greco would be the one that I would lean towards. So before you had to withdraw for or decide not to go to U23s, you were registered at 55, and I know last year you went overseas and you wrestled at 55 a little bit. Is 55, is that your weight class, and is that the plan when it's not an Olympic year, is to be at 55, and then when it is the Olympic year you bump up to 60 because that's your only option?
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm not a big enough to the point where I have to consider if I can make 55. So that's usually always the plan, is just drop down to 55 if it's not an Olympic year.
Yeah. How different does it feel up at 60? I mean, I know you were there. Obviously, you placed at senior nationals. Again, dropped one to your brother and dropped one to Randon Miranda, who's a U23 world team member, tough guy. But how do you feel when you wrestle at 60 versus when you wrestle at 55?
It doesn't feel too different. I think the only difference is it's harder to push guys or move guys. But I think strength-wise, they feel almost the same. The guys at 55 they're just small enough where they can make the weight, but they're almost as strong as the guys at 60. So it doesn't feel too much different.
Gotcha. So besides bass fishing, do you have any other hobbies off the mat?
Yeah, I play guitar. My brother plays the drums. I do that a lot.
When are we getting a Koontz Brothers band together?
Not sure.
I take it you'd be playing rock and roll if you did, though?
Yeah.
Very cool. So you can be funny or you can be serious with this one, but what is your biggest fear?
Not really sure. If I'm talking literally, then I've always been like really, I don't want to say afraid, but it just kind of like weirds me out, is being in like vast open water and not knowing what's underneath me. I can't remember what the technical term for it is right now, but that always just like weirds me out. Even if I see a picture, it's just creepy to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I kind of have a fear of the unknown, and that sort of like ties into that because you're who knows what's down there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like talk about feeling like small, like that's when big open water and you're the only thing on the horizon line. That's a small feeling moment. But that's a good one because I kind of have that one too. So you're really just starting off in your senior career, and obviously still in college. But what are you majoring in, and what do you plan to do once your competitive wrestling career is over, if you know that yet?
My major is child and youth studies. Basically, that's instead of being an education major or a teaching major, child and youth studies is kind of like the same thing, just for younger kids. And I wanted to I wanted to go into music therapy for that, especially since I really enjoy playing guitar. Just kind of molding those two things together and using that music therapy.
That's really cool. Would that require like a graduate degree or some sort of counseling certificate, or what's like the path look like to becoming a music therapist?
I believe I do have to go to graduate school for that. I'm not sure which graduate school yet, but plan is graduate and go to graduate school and then get the music therapy license.
I'm assuming keep wrestling all the way through.
Yeah, keep wrestling until my body doesn't let me.
Very cool. So what do you think the best advice you've received in your career has been, or a piece of advice that sticks out to you?
I'm not sure if someone's told me this before or if it's something that I just always tell myself before every match, but it's just that during a match or after a match, it doesn't matter win or lose as long as you went out there and you battled as hard as you could and gave it everything you got, because losing hurts a lot more when you know you didn't give it your all.
Yeah.
So that's something I always think about, is as long as I go out there and fight as hard as I can, and I can't be as disappointed if I lose.
Yeah, solid logic on that one. What advice would you give somebody that's just starting out in their wrestling career?
I would tell them to keep at it no matter how much it sucks. I remember when I was there and it was pretty awful at some points, but keep with it and get through the hard parts of it, and it gets a lot more enjoyable, and you start to improve, and you can start to see the improvement in practice or in competition. It gets a lot more fun.
Yeah. Where do you find your motivation during your, toughest practice sessions, or, to get that one more rep in, or that one more sprint in, or that one more, live go in? Where do you draw motivation from when it gets really tough?
I probably just draw it from not wanting to be that guy that's like not giving it his all, especially when I'm working out with the Ohio State team, or if I'm at the OTC or wherever, if I'm at training camp. I just never want to be that guy where the coaches are looking over and thinking, wow, he's not giving it his all. So I always want to show that I'm trying as hard as I can, no matter how exhausted I am. Like I might be moving slower, but I'm trying to give it the best I got.
Growing up with Dylan, was there ever like a competitive nature to it, or like an outwork the other guy kind of idea?
I think there was, especially with, like, even now, if we go on a run with the team, him and I are always just back and forth the entire time, trying to one up the other.
Yeah. So last year you took an Olympic red shirt. What's the plan for this season? Do you know what you're doing yet?
Well, this year the NCAA said that it doesn't count towards eligibility, so coaches aren't redshirting anybody on the team, not even the true freshmen. So plan is Russell folk style a bit, Russell Greco. If I need to train for that, try to get the starting 25 spot and just keep working hard.
Yeah. So you are not currently qualified for the Olympic team trials, and the future right now is like a little murky with what's going on. But is that something that you've been thinking about?
Yeah, goal was definitely try to qualify for the Olympic team trials, especially with the weights being, especially at 60, because you have guys at 50, all the guys at 55, plus some guys at 63 are dropping down. I think like top 3 or 4 guys at 60 are all W cap. It's definitely something that is a goal of mine and something I want to get to.
So when does that transition, from mostly doing folk style to, hey, I've got to get myself qualified. I need to do more Greco. When does that kind of start? Because in the past, it seems like you've obviously balanced it very well, given that you've made it to Final X kind of on the heels of the college season.
Well, it depends what my next competition is. Usually if the next competition I'm going to is Greco, then my brother and I will just go Greco with each other, and our coaches are fine with it because they know what we're doing and they trust us not to be dogging it during practice, and they can see us down at the end of the room working by ourselves. If our next competition is folk style, then we'll just work with the rest of the team and just get led by the coaches and drill folk style.
Yeah. So last question I got for you is, what is your best wrestling memory to date?
I would probably say that it's one of the times that I made a world team. Trying to decide between 2015 cadet world team or 2018 junior world team. 2015 was definitely really cool. My first world team. It was the first time I went to an age level world team trials. And then 2018 was the year that I got a rematch against somebody I'd previously lost to. And I think in that bracket, I beat the numbers like 3, 2, and 1 seed. But I would probably say 2015 cadet world team trials when I won my first world team was really cool.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's funny because you leave off the U23 team you made, and that was a pretty cool match too, because that was kind of you coming in and challenging Cronin, I believe, at Fargo, on the big mat. So that was a really cool one, and that wasn't even in the running because you made a lot of teams. had a lot of good wrestling moments. Awesome. Hey Brady, thanks for coming on today. Thanks for being here. We're definitely going to miss you at U23s, but hopefully we see you doing some NCAA folk style and then some Greco shortly after.
Yeah, for sure.